long ago, beyond rolling hills and silver-threaded rivers, there stood a humble cottage at the edge of a forest, so old that its trees seemed to remember the birth of the world. Within that cottage lived a husband and wife, bound by deep love but shadowed by quiet sorrow. For many years they prayed for a child. Each dawn brought renewed hope. Each dusk carried silent disappointment. Yet still they believed. One radiant spring morning, as sunlight poured through the window like liquid gold, the woman felt a gentle flutter beneath her heart. Tears filled her eyes as she realized her prayer had finally been answered. Joy bloomed, but it was soon tangled with longing. As her pregnancy progressed, an unusual craving overtook her. From her window, she gazed upon a magnificent garden beyond the neighboring stone wall. It was no ordinary garden. Flowers bloomed out of season. Herbs shimmered with unnatural vitality, and at its heart grew lush green Rapunzel leaves, glowing with dew as if kissed by magic itself. "I must taste those leaves," she whispered weakly one evening. "If I cannot, I fear my strength will fade." The garden belonged to Dame Gothel, a woman feared throughout the land for her mastery of dark magic. Yet love overpowered fear. Night after night, her husband slipped over the wall, stealing handfuls of Rapunzel to save his wife. On the third night, the shadows spoke. "You steal what is mine." Dame Gothel stepped forward, her eyes sharp and unyielding. The man fell to his knees, begging for mercy. Gothel listened and smiled. "I will spare your life," she said softly, "but the child your wife carries will belong to me." With no choice left, he agreed. The baby girl was born beneath a sky washed in gold. Her hair shone like molten sunlight, her cry filled with fierce life. They named her Rapunzel, but joy was fleeting. When the child was strong enough to leave her mother's arms, Dame Gothel returned. Without cruelty, yet without compassion, she took the child deep into the forest, where no paths dared wander. There, she raised a tall stone tower, hidden among ancient trees. It had no door, only a single window near its peak. That tower became Rapunzel's world. Rapunzel grew surrounded by silence. Gothel provided food, books, paints, and comfort, but never truth. She spoke of the outside world only as a place of danger and betrayal. "You are safe here," Gothel would say. "The world beyond these walls is cruel." Rapunzel believed her. Her hair grew longer each year, radiant and golden, until it pooled across the stone floor like trapped sunlight. Whenever Gothel returned, she would call from below, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." And Rapunzel obeyed. Yet in her heart lived a longing she could not name. She sang songs filled with questions, hope, and quiet ache. Her voice drifted through the forest, carrying dreams she did not yet understand. Each year, on her birthday, Rapunzel saw glowing lanterns rise into the night sky beyond her window. "What are those lights?" she once asked. "Nothing worth knowing," Gothel snapped. "Forget them." But Rapunzel could not. One afternoon, a young prince rode through the forbidden forest. His name was Alaric. The air grew thick as he ventured deeper, the trees ancient, the silence heavy. Few dared travel those paths. Yet Alaric felt a pull he could not explain, as though something unseen was calling him forward. Then he heard it, a song. It floated through the trees, gentle yet powerful, woven with longing, courage, and hope so pure it stole his breath. He followed the sound until he stood before a tall stone tower hidden among the trees. Alaric returned the next day, and the next. From the shadows, he watched an old woman approach the tower and speak strange words. To his astonishment, a cascade of golden hair fell from the window. The woman climbed and vanished inside. That night, beneath a silvered moon, Alaric stepped forward. "Rapunzel! Rapunzel! Let down your hair!" The window opened. Golden strands fell. When he climbed inside, Rapunzel recoiled in fear, for she had never seen another soul. But Alaric knelt, lowered his eyes, and spoke with kindness. "I mean you no harm," he said. "Your song called to me as if my heart already knew it." Fear softened into curiosity. They spoke through the night of stars and lantern-lit skies of villages and dreams never spoken aloud. Alaric returned whenever he could. He brought stories of the world. Rapunzel shared her hopes and songs. Love grew not as rescue, but as companionship of the soul. Dame Gothel sensed the change. Rapunzel's songs no longer carried loneliness but warmth. Laughter threaded her voice. Hope bloomed where obedience once ruled. One evening, Gothel hid behind an ancient oak. From the shadows, she watched a young man call the forbidden words and climb Rapunzel's golden hair. She did not confront them. She planned. The next night, Gothel returned early. Her voice was gentle, perfect. When she reached the tower, Rapunzel turned smiling until she met Gothel's eyes. The silence that followed was more terrifying than any scream. Dame Gothel did not confront the prince at once. Instead, she chose something far more terrible deception. She cut Rapunzel's hair, stripping it of its magic, and banished her to a desolate land where the wind howled and survival itself was a trial. That night, after storming from the tower and leaving Rapunzel trembling in silence, Gothel descended into the forest and waited. She knew the young man would return. Love, once awakened, does not retreat easily. The moon climbed high when Prince Alaric stepped from the shadows, his face hopeful, his heart unguarded. He carried no sword, no shield, only trust. Standing beneath the tower, Gothel wrapped Rapunzel's severed golden hair around her arm. Though its magic was fading, it still shimmered faintly in the dark. With Rapunzel's voice carefully mimicked through dark sorcery, Gothel called down softly, "Alaric, come to me." Believing his beloved awaited him, the prince rushed forward. He grasped the hair and began to climb, his thoughts filled with reunion rather than danger. When he reached the window, Gothel stepped forward. The torchlight revealed her face cold, triumphant, merciless. "Did you truly think," she hissed, "that love could survive where obedience once ruled?" Before Alaric could react, Gothel seized him. With a strength fed by bitterness and magic, she pushed him from the tower. Alaric fell.
Branches tore at his clothes. Stones scraped his skin. He struck the ground far below, his body broken and his spirit shattered. But Gothel's cruelty did not end there. As he lay unconscious, she whispered a final curse, one woven with darkness and despair. When Alaric awoke, pain burned through his body, and the world around him was nothing but shadow. He had lost his sight. Blinded, wounded, and alone, Alaric wandered the forest, calling Rapunzel's name, his voice hoarse with grief. Days turned to weeks, weeks to years. Guided only by memory and hope, the once prince became a wandering soul, learning to walk by listening, to live by faith, and to love without ever seeing the face he longed for. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, Rapunzel's song drifted across the empty plains. A man stopped walking. Blind, weathered, and worn by years of wandering, Prince Alaric froze as the sound reached him. His breath caught. His hands trembled. He had heard this voice before, in dreams, in memory, in hope that refused to die. "Rapunzel?" he whispered into the wind. Drawn by the sound, he followed it step by careful step, guided not by sight, but by love. Rapunzel heard a voice answer her song, broken, hesitant, achingly familiar. She turned. When she saw him, she ran. They met beneath the open sky, no tower, no walls, no shadows between them. Rapunzel fell to her knees before him, tears spilling freely as she touched his face, tracing the lines carved by suffering and time. "Alaric, what has she done to you?" she sobbed. Her tears fell upon his eyes, warm, pure, born of love and loss. Light returned. Alaric gasped as the world rushed back into focus, and the first thing he saw was Rapunzel, strong and radiant, standing before him not as a captive girl, but as a woman shaped by courage. They embraced, not as those rescued, but as those who had survived. And in that moment, the power Gothel once held over them was finally, completely broken. Dame Gothel returned to the tower, believing herself victorious. She expected silence. She expected obedience. She expected Rapunzel to be broken. Instead, the tower stood empty. No song drifted from the window. No golden hair lay coiled within. Only cold stone and echoing absence greeted her. For the first time in decades, fear crept into Gothel's heart. Her magic, once sustained by control, secrecy, and stolen youth, began to weaken. Without Rapunzel's presence, the spells woven into the tower unraveled. The walls cracked. The forest seemed to turn against her. Roots twisted beneath her feet, and shadows no longer obeyed her call. In her fury, Gothel climbed the tower one final time, shouting Rapunzel's name not with love, but with desperation. As she reached the top, the stones beneath her crumbled. The tower, built on selfish magic, could not endure once its purpose was lost. Gothel fell into the darkness she had long commanded. No song marked her passing, no tears followed her. Only the forest remained, reclaiming what had never belonged to her. And with that fall, her magic vanished from the land forever. Hand in hand, Rapunzel and Prince Alaric journeyed back toward the kingdom. They traveled not as fugitives or victims, but as equals, two souls shaped by suffering, now strengthened by love. Along the way, villagers stopped in wonder at Rapunzel's kindness and Alaric's humility, unaware they were welcoming their future queen and king. When they reached the palace gates, the kingdom stood still. The queen wept when she saw her daughter alive. The king fell to his knees, overcome with gratitude. For years, lanterns had risen into the sky in mourning, and hope now they rose in joy. Rapunzel embraced her parents, not in anger for what was lost, but in forgiveness for what had been endured. She spoke not of blame, but of resilience, of freedom, and of love that survives even the darkest towers. Prince Alaric was welcomed not only as a prince, but as a man who had learned compassion through suffering. His blindness had taught him to see with the heart, and his wandering had shaped him into the ruler he was always meant to be.